So yesterday we were talking about export and what is the purpose of export, all those things. So today let us talk about import utility. So as we started with the basic point yesterday, that export import is basically a utility in order to transfer the data from one Oracle database to another Oracle database. And yesterday we saw about export, like we have four levels of export. One is database level, then schema level, table level, and then finally row level. So while import also, the same levels will be there. Here at this moment I am not going to show you how to do full database import, that will come under cloning, but I would be showing you how to do a schema level import, or how to do one table import, or how to do specific rows import. So we would be dealing with those things. So basically import, you can see the 11th point here. Import is the utility to dump the contents from the export dump file to a schema, and import internally converts all the contents of export dump file to DDL and DML statements. So that means, if you remember yesterday we were talking about export, and we understood that export is nothing but select statement processing. So similarly, import is nothing but DML and DDL processing. So how it is going to do the things is, when you initiate the import, first it will create the table, then it will insert the data, then it will create the index and other objects like views, synonyms, etc. And it will add the constraints, and finally it will enable the constraint. So these are the, this is the flow that import is going to follow. Let us have a look on how to do the import, then we will come back and we will see other points. So first I am taking export. So for our understanding, I have taken here two servers. One server is with white color window and the other server is with a black color window. So white color server, from white color server I am taking export, and I am going to import that into black color window. So I am taking export here with the help of so there is a schema called Karna. So I want to take export of that and I want to import into the other server. So what I am going to do, first I am taking export. Okay. So this Karna user is having only one table, that is T1. So it got exported successfully. So now if you have a look, this is your export dump file. So what next you need to do is, you need to copy this dump file to the other server using SCP command. So you need to say the IP address of the machine and to where you want to copy. Suppose I want to copy it into U02. So I will be giving that. So if it is asking for any authentication, just say yes. Then provide the password of the other server. So now you can see the dump file got transferred from one server to another server. So if you are practicing in your laptops and all, till this time you might have created only one VMware server. So now you may require to create one more VMware server and install some version of Oracle and create one database on that. Then you can practice it more efficiently. So now if you look at U02, you can see the dump here, karna.dmp. So now what I am doing is, I need to import this schema. But before importing this schema, what you need to do is, you need to create one user with the same name. For example, so you need to give this, you need to create a user, and also you need to allocate the quota first I am checking what is the default table space. Because on the other server there is no there is no user created, so we need to create one user manually. Let, okay, fine. So I will say alter user, username, quota. So I am allocating quota also. So two activities we need to do. One is we need to create the user. Number two, we need to allocate some quota on the table space. So we need to do these two activities before we do the import. And now you can run the import command imp file equals to kanna.dmp, then log equals to and you need to say owner equals to Kanna. No, sorry, owner is not there. So we can simply say this. So you don't require to specify owner equals to. So just say /sdba. Oops, sorry. You need to specify this one from user and to user. So now you can see here the table got imported successfully into this database. So here instead of owner you need to use these commands from user and to user. And here I have taken export from Kanna and I am importing into Kanna. So that's the reason from user and to user names are same. For example, you are taking export from XYZ and you are importing into ABC, then from user will be XYZ and to user will be ABC. So this is how you can do full schema export import. So similarly, if you want to import a particular table, then you can do this. So I am taking EMP table export. So I have taken EMP table export. Then again I need to do SCP of this dump file. And the file is here now. So now, for example, I want to import this into Kanna user only. So then I say from user equals to Spot and to user equals to Kanna. So that means in the source database the table is owner is different, and in the destination database the table owner is different. I need to say tables equals to EMP. And now if you say sysdba, so then it is going to import the table, but we landed with some constraint error. So what is that constraint error says, or where it failed? It says alter table emp add constraint foreign key department number is failed. So why it is failed? It says table or view does not exist. So you know this constraint is going to get created on DEPT table, but we have not imported DEPT table. That is the reason it says table or view does not exist. So it is actually looking for DEPT table, but because DEPT table is not there, it is going to throw that error. So not an issue, so we can just ignore it. So this is how we can do a single table export import. And suppose if you want specific rows to be imported, then you would be using a different thing. So let me show you that. So from user Scotch, then to user Anna tables EMP, and I want to do specific rows, and for that we are going to use the same thing what we used yesterday, where DPT number equals to 10. Oops, sorry, during import we can't specify query. So while taking export itself we need to use that. So you can take query level export and you can do import directly. So that will make row level export import. So anybody is having any questions before we proceed further? Okay. So suppose you want to do SCP. So basically SCP is a command which is used to transfer the file from one server to another server. How you would be doing that is SCP, then the file name which you want to transfer. Suppose you want to transfer all the files, then you need to give star. Here specifically I want to copy this file, so I need to give that file name. Then to which server you want to transfer, on that server there will be one user. For example, here I want to transfer into this server, the server IP is 120 and in this the username is Oracle. So I need to specify that first here. Oracle at the rate of, you need to provide the IP address 122.168.1.120 and to which mount point you want to copy. So it is not necessary that you need to copy only into U02. So even U01 is there. So here you can specify U01. And it is going to ask you the password of this server. So this black color server, whatever is there, you need to know the password of this server. If you know the password, give that password and the file will start copying by itself. Is that clear, Sami? Okay. So any more queries from anyone? Okay. Row level export, let me show you. Okay. So I will say query equals to, oops, where DPT number equals to 10 and once again this one. So what happens is only 3 rows will be exported because here I have used the where condition. So now what you can do is SCP this dump file to the other server, to whatever the location you want. So now the file is copied. So you can see the file name here and simply you need to say file equals to file name, log equals to 1.log from user spot to user comma. Okay, so you need to just say this tables equals to emp, and you can give this as dba, and now you can see it got imported. So whatever the 3 rows are there, that got imported. Again, because DEPT table is not available, it is throwing an error. So this is how you would be doing the row level import. No, not required, because anyway while taking the export you have mentioned the query option. So while import it is not required. Yes, it's from first server to second server. So any more queries? Okay. So just like yesterday, we saw something like exp help equals to y. We have something called imp help equals to y. So this is to give the information. I mean, it is going to give you different parameters that we can use with import, and I am not going to discuss again all the parameters what is required in real time. So I am just discussing about those things. So yesterday user ID is nothing but you need to provide the username and password. So always we will be doing that with the slash as is dba only. And full means you want to do a full import, but I have not shown you how to do full import, and even I request you to not practice full import. So just practice schema level, table level and query level. Full import I will show you during database cloning. So when you want full database to be imported, then you would be using this option full equals to. And yesterday we saw already about buffer, so which is nothing but if you set some buffer value to 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, that much bytes will be read from the database at a time. Otherwise Oracle will read only one block at a time, and then you are going to provide from user and then to user. So just now we saw that. So from user is nothing but as which user you have taken export, and to user is nothing but into which user you want to do import. Then file is nothing but the dump file name, and show equals show. So you can read the description here. Show is used to just list the file contents. So if you want to know what are all the tables that are exported, and what are all the other information that you want to know about the dump file, so you can basically use this show equals to y. Let me show you how it is going to work. Imp file equals to some file name, and log equals to whatever be the log. For example, let's say 1.log, and I need to say show equals to y. So when you run this show equals to y, what happens is Oracle will just list what are all the contents of the dump file, because dump file is generally a binary file. So when you say show equals to y, whatever the content is there in this dump file, it is going to get recorded into this particular log file 1.log, and show equals to y will not do the import, it is just going to simulate the import. So sorry, I didn't specify this. So from user spot and to user. So a log file will be created for you, 1.log. So if you open this with VA editor, it is going to show you what import is doing. Already we discussed about this. Import is nothing but DML and detail statement combination. So you can see here, first it is changing the current schema to Kanna, then it is creating the table, then it is creating the index, and then it is creating the primary key here, you can see, and finally it is trying to add foreign key constraint, but this is where it is getting failed. So what the content of the dump file is, you are going to able to see that through show equals to y command. So is this clear with everyone? In real time, we would be doing that in two different servers, Sanjay. Never we do it in the same server. And are you asking to show one table export and import into the same database? Okay, fine. Let me show you this. Okay, let me complete this import parameters first, then I will show you about that. Otherwise, the break will be followed. Okay, so that is about show option. Then tables is just like the same. If you want to go for table level import, you would be using this option. Then suppose you are trying to import one table and already the table is existing in the database. Then usually what Oracle will do is, because the table is already existing, it is going to throw an error saying that the name of the table is already there. It is going to throw you some error like that. So if you want to ignore those kind of things, you can specify ignore equals to y. For example, let me show you here. So under Kanna user, I have already a table by the name EMP. If I try to do the same, what it says? It says that the following statement is failed because the object is already existing. So already EMP table is there. So if you try to do an import, Oracle will try to create EMP table once again, and because two tables cannot have the same name in one schema, Oracle will throw this error. And if you want to avoid this error, then during import you can say ignore equals to y. So when you give ignore equals to y, what happens is Oracle will skip that import. Oracle will skip the table and it will continue with the rest of the tables. So that is what basically it is going to do. And record length, INC type, as I said yesterday, we are not going to use it, so we can ignore. And the grants, by default, if a table is imported, whatever the privileges, grants are nothing but privileges. So whatever the privileges the table is having, even that will be imported, and indexes also, and even rows also. So everything will be imported. Then par file, yesterday I showed you how to create a par file for EXP. Similarly, you can create a par file for IMP also. And then we have commit. So by default, commit equals to no, you can see here. And if you specify commit equals to y, then after importing every table, internally Oracle will give a commit. So and you know the thing with commit. When you say commit equals to y, after every table, Oracle internally will give, after importing every table, Oracle will give commit internally, and that will save our data permanently in the database. And log is nothing but the log file name, import log file name, and constraints. If you specify yes, then constraints will be imported. That is the default value here. And if you say constraints equals to no, then the constraints will not get imported. And the rest of the parameters, we are not going to use them in real time, so we don't require to worry about that. So any queries before we proceed further? Okay, so let us go and see how to take export of a table from one database, and how to import the same table into another schema in the same database. For example, here I have a database by the name ProdDB, and I'm just checking what are all the users available. Okay, there are so many users. For example, I have a user called Kanna, then I have a user called Tech, and in Kanna user we have a table called T1, and what I will do is I will export the table from Kanna user and I will import that into Tech user, and both Kanna and Tech users are there in the same database and in the same server also. So let us go and see how we can do that. Nothing is going to change, the steps are same, only the thing is you don't require to do SCP, that's it. So PXP T1.dmp, I'm just taking some name. Kanna.t1. So table got exported, and this is the dump file that you have. So now let me do an import. I will say imp file equals to this one, log equals to imp t1 some name from user Kanna and to user Tech. Okay, when it says table is already existing, let's do one thing. So I'm just dropping the table in Tech user. So you can see it got imported into Tech user. From Kanna it got imported into Tech user. So this is how we would be handling if it is the same database and same server. But we won't do this generally. In real time, always it happens from one server to another server, or one database to another database. So that is all about export import, or how we have export import and things. So the next concept that we have is data pump. So data pump is the concept which was introduced in 10G, and it is an extension to the export import whatever we saw till now. So adding some more features, improving the fastness of the functionality, Oracle came with the concept of data pump, and you can see there data pump is an extension to traditional export import, which provides more advantages like the security, fastness, etc. Now first I want to let you know about the security. So let me talk about security here. So we already saw how we can do the networking things and all those things. Okay. So for example, this is my Windows machine, and let's assume this is my office desktop. And in my office desktop I have installed Oracle client. Then I open my command prompt, and I type this command, let's say. So I type exp file equals to kanna.dmp. Sorry, I'm just moving to D drive. Okay, I'm just moving to D drive, and I say kanna.dmp log equals to kanna.log, and owner equals to kanna. And when it is asking for username and password, I will give like this: kanna@prod.db, then its password. Just give me a moment. Okay. So here I have taken the export, and where this dump file is going to get created, it is going to get created in the D drive. So if you take a look here, so this is the dump file and this is the log file. So that means I can take export of my own schema into some other remote machine. And not only that, what I can do is, for example, if I have a chance to attach this to my Gmail, let's say in my office Gmail is allowed. So what I can do, I can upload this to my Gmail, and after going to home I can download this file, and in my home I can import that. Let's assume I am a developer, and I know little bit concepts about DBA. So I can do the import, and whatever the tables that are there inside, I can able to see the data also. That means basically there is no security in this kind of situation. So anybody can take the export into their own machines, and from there they can transfer the dump file to any other machines, I mean, into their home machines, and from there they can able to take out the things. They can able to see the data and all. So which is obviously a security lapse. So to overcome this, Oracle came with the option called directory from data pump onwards. So that is one security feature that we have here. And also, as I said, data pump will increase the fastness. So first, let us go and see the commands on how to take data pump export. So the first criteria, or the first requirement in order to take data pump export is you need to create something called a directory. So for example, at OS level I am creating one directory by the name dpdir, and at Oracle level also I need to create one directory. So create directory dpdir as, oops, sorry, so I just created in U02. I just given wrong location, so I am dropping it and recreating it in U01. Okay, so at Oracle level we need to create one directory with the help of this command, create directory name as the location, and at OS level also you need to create the directory. Now what is the definition of the directory at Oracle level? The definition says directory is nothing but an alias name to a location. For example, U01 dpdir is the uh, location name, and for this location we are using one directory name, or we are using one alias name by the name dpdir. So this is what the prerequisite before you start with data pump export. And the command of data pump export will be like this. Earlier, if you look at export, it started with exp, but because this is data pump export, the command will start with expdp. And there are some changes in the naming conventions also. You need to carefully follow that. So after writing expdp, the first thing that you need to write is your directory name. So what is your directory name? You need to write that directory name. And earlier, if it is export, we used to write file equals to some name, but now we need to write it as dump file equals to some name. So let's say 1.dmp. And earlier we used to write log equals to some name, but now we need to write it as log file equals to some name. And this option didn't change. If you want to go for full export, you need to say full equals to 1. So now what happens is, even though whatever the command you run, this dump file will get created in this directory. And what is this directory? This directory is nothing but an alias name to this location. So that means your dump file here 1.dmp is going to reside on this location. So let it complete. I will show you at OS level. Okay. So now you can see where your dump file got created. It got created under this location. So this is what actually will happen when you use directory. Now let us run the same command here. So earlier whatever I ran, I am just running it through some other. Let me take some other name, because already same file is existing. So even there is a change in this parameter also. Earlier we used to say owner equals to the owner name, but now instead of owner equals to, we need to write down schemas equals to. And now if you say kanna@dv, then the password, first of all you would not be able to take export at all, and you can see it is giving a message insufficient privileges. So what exactly is this? So why it is saying insufficient privileges? Because on this directory, this user Kanna should have a permission first of all. So until and unless that permission is not there, it will not be able to create that. So if you want to give the permission, only sysdba can do that with the help of this command. Grant read comma write on directory dpdir to Kanna user. So until unless you don't grant this permission, user would not be able to take export. Okay, now I have granted the permission and user has issued this and even the password also. Still it says existing. Why it is so? Okay, fine. Now let's not waste time on this. But actually, after granting this read and write permission, it should be able to do the things. But somehow it is not working. That's fine. So assuming it is working. So let's assume that this command is working. So now, even if this command is working, where this dump file is going to reside? It is going to reside under the location which represents dpdir. And what is dpdir means? dpdir is nothing but the location in which your Unix operating system location is there. That means even though you run the command from the Windows machine, the file will be created on the Unix server itself. That means never you can create a file or never you can take the export in your own machine. So this is not at all possible, and that is how the security was improved. So have you guys understood about this? Earlier in export we used exp command and the dump file got created on the Windows machine itself. But now we are using this directory option. So even if you run that command on Windows machine, still the file will be created on the Unix machine itself. So this is how Oracle improved the security of this export process. So anyone is having any queries? No, we need to write compulsory schema only, not the username. And it is not only schema, it is schemas. So here you need to mention schemas equals to the name. I didn't get you. What you mean by because of OS 11? Okay, earlier we used owner equals to, not the username equals to. Earlier we used owner equals to Kanna, and now instead of this we need to give schemas equals to Kanna. So that's the difference. So now we know export is a select statement processing and import is a combination of DML and DDL statements. So similarly, if you go for data pump, how data pump export and import are going to work. So you can see the diagram here. Whenever you initiate export import, whenever you initiate export through data pump, then Oracle will create something called master table. And what Oracle will do is, whatever the tables that you want to take export, all these tables data, it is going to copy that to master table, and from master table the data will be copied to dump file. So this is how data pump is going to work. Data pump export is going to work, and if you initiate data pump import, the process will be just in a reverse order. That means from dump file the data will come down to master table, and from master table the data will come down to normal tables. So this is how export and import in data pump are going to work. And you can read point number 18. After finishing either export or import in data pump, Oracle will automatically drops the master table. That means creation of master table and dropping the master table is purely in Oracle hands. So we don't have any control. We can't create a master table, or neither we can drop a master table. It is not at all possible. And as point number 19 says, just like export import, even data pump is also having 4 levels, that is database level, schema level, table level and row level. And apart from these 4 levels, we have some extra level in data pump, that is table space level. So you can take one entire table space export in one database and you can import that into other database. So that extra option is there in data pump. And 20th point is nothing but the one which we saw practically. In data pump, the dump file will reside only on one server and it cannot be copied onto the client side with the help of the directory option, and this is to provide the security for the dump file. And suppose you want to monitor how your data pump export is working and how your data pump import is working and all, basically you can use this view db underscore data pump underscore jobs. So for example, so when export is going on, you can actually see the status in another window. So you can simply say select star from db underscore data pump underscore jobs. So you can see it is showing you executing. And here you can see export job completed, and now if you say no row selected, why? Because the job has completed. So this is how you can verify the status of export import job. And then you have a note which says whenever data pump export is done with parallel option and all. Okay. So let us go and look into the options of data pump, then you will understand those things better. So just like you said, exp help equals to y. If you want to see all the options of data pump, you need to say expdp help equals to y. So then it is going to list you so many options. So let us go through those options and have a look at them. So the first one is attach. So basically attach is an option to verify the status of data pump job. For example, let me show you here. Let's say I'm initiating the export once again. Okay. So when you say Control C, so the process will run in the background, and you want to check the status, you can check the status. For example, you are there in the command prompt and you want to check the status of the job, then you can say expdp attach equals to, you need to provide the job name, and where I would be getting the job name. In the beginning it is going to give you this line, and in this line whatever you are seeing here, sys underscore export full 01, that itself is your job name. So when you say that, it will ask you for username, so just say sysdva. Okay, might be the job is completed, so that's the reason here it says job is not existing. So let us run this once again. So I can say expdp attach equals to, so this is the job name, so I need to give the job name and enter, and now you can see it has taken you to export prompt. There you can say status. So when you type status, it is going to show you what is the status of your export job. So where the file is getting created, how many bytes were written, and what is the status, all those things. So it is going to give you the complete information. And now if it is getting quitted, you can see it is saying completed. So this is how you can make use of attach option. And after attach option, you have the option for compression, and you can read the thing over here. Compression is going to reduce the size of the dump file contents. So by default it is metadata only. So if you say compression equals to none, then the size of the dump file will not be compressed. And if you say compression or if you don't specify anything, by default the data will be compressed for you. And then we have content. So when you say content equals to all, both the structure of the table and the number of rows will be exported. When you say content equals to data only the rows will be exported but not the structure of the table. And when you say content equals to metadata only, then only the structure will be exported but not the rows. So this is how you have content. And directory, just now we saw it. In order to provide the security, we have this option. Then dump file, so which is nothing to provide the name of the dump file. And from 10G onwards, this data pump is allowing you to provide an encryption for the dump file, and further you can make use of this option encryption underscore password. So you can create one password for your dump file so that any other person would not be able to do the import. but usually we don't use that in real time. And the next one is estimate. So whenever you start with export, export is going to give you the estimation, like what would be the file size before itself. For example, let me show you here. So if you take a look here, when you start your export using this command, so here it is going to estimate you what would be the size of the dump file. So it is saying 8.625 MB. So based on blocks, so into how many blocks the data was copied to, or how into how many blocks the data was there. Based on that, it is going to calculate that 8 MB or 8.6 MB will be the size of your dump file. So that is what estimation will do. And you have two options, estimate and estimate only. Now you can see the difference. What estimate will do is it will calculate the job estimates and it will also perform the export. But what estimate only will do is it will calculate the job estimates without performing the export. So estimate will proceed for export and estimate only will not proceed for export. Just give me a moment. Ah, okay. So we have this estimate and estimate only options, and then we have exclude option. So this is one good feature that we have in data from. Suppose you are exporting a schema which is having 100 tables, and out of 100 tables, suppose you don't want to export some 5 or 6 tables. So then normally if you go for exp command, then you need to mention all the 95 or 96 tables. But with the help of this exclude option, what you can do is you can mention the schema name, then you can mention what are all the tables that you don't want to export. So for example, you can see here it says exclude table colon EMP. That means I want to take export of all the entire Scott schema, but I don't want to export EMP table. So I can mention this exclude command like that. So it is not only applicable for tables, it is applicable for other objects also. Like I don't want to export views, or I don't want to export some other objects. So in such case we can make use of that. Then we don't use these three in real time, so I am not going to discuss about them. And full equals to y, it is for taking full database export. And just like exclude option, we have include option. That means apart from this table, if you want to include some other table in the export, you can make use of that. And basically this export data pump export job is going to provide some job name, and you want specifically a job name, then you can uh, give some job name to it, or otherwise Oracle will create one default name on its own. And then we have log file, which is nothing but you need to provide the log file name. The network link we will be discussing during IMPDP, that is data pump import. Then if you don't want any log file, you can just mention no log file. And the next important one is parallel. So basically parallel is going to speed up the process of EXP. So for example, so you can say parallel equals to 10 or 15 or whatever, so that 10 processes will be created and parallelly they will be taking the export. So it is just to speed up the process. Okay, it says file is already existing. So that is about parallel. And par file, it is same. Query option is also same. Then we have sample. So if you want to take sample percentage of export from entire database, like 20% of database, 30% of database, you can make use of this sample. Then as I discussed earlier, instead of owner you can provide schemas. Status, we are not going to use it. Tables is nothing but table level export. And as I said, in data pump you can take table space level export. So if you want to take it particular tablespace export, you can make use of this option. And then we have version. So I will be discussing about version and other parameters tomorrow. So version is having some significance. So we will be discussing more in detail during that time. So anybody is having any queries before we close the session? Okay, actually I'm facing some issue with my PC, and right now I'm using my laptop. So that's the reason I couldn't upload all the videos from 28th onwards. So hopefully by tomorrow my PC would be ready, and then I can upload all those things. So just wait for one more day, please. Even after doing everything is not working, but if it's not working, then definitely somewhere there is a problem, Sanjay. Just re-verify the steps what you have done, because definitely if you set that in bash profile, there is no reason that it will not appear. And after setting in bash profile file, did you execute bash profile? Okay, then somewhere you might have done a mistake. So just cross verify all the steps. Yes, that is the command. Okay, fine. So let us meet tomorrow at the same time, and we will be discussing about other features of data phone. So thanks everyone for joining the call, and have a nice time till then.